I have a problem with environmentalists, most environmental activists, and I know I'm choosing violence, and I know you people are going to come at me. It's okay. Come argue out your points. It's alright. I am one of you, and we have a lot in common, and we believe in the same cause, and we are moving in the same direction. And I know what you guys are doing. I'm doing the same thing, but then I have a problem with some, not everyone, but some of you and what you guys are doing. And I think the first point that we need to understand is that this issue of climate change, environmental conservation and stuff, I think we need to understand and realize that is very much political. And it is manipulated. In some cases, we have seen it being manipulated. And the problem that I have with most of us is that we argue out, we put out information outside there, information that we have not done due diligence on, especially when it comes to climate change. And I also understand, or I want you to understand, that there's nothing that sells like fear. That's a business strategy, by the way. Selling the fear. If you're selling fear, everybody's going to buy, because when there is fear, like, do you remember the first time COVID was confirmed to have come into our country, Kenya? I remember I was scared. I felt like I'm going to die the next day. But we are here now. 2 years ago, we're still here. We're still moving on. So I know that climate issues are being used by some for their own benefits. And I know, and if you have done your research, there have been a lot of arguments on whether climate change is real, whether climate change is just an exaggerated situation. There has been division when it comes to scientists who research about climate change. Some of them have been bought, funded by specific people who belong on the right or on the left, so that they can alter and manipulate the data that they are finding from research. And it has become so hard, if you have done your research, to tell if it is true climate change is a new thing that is happening, or climate change is nothing new and it's something that has been happening and is a cycle, only that now, this lifetime, we find ourselves at the time when it is headed to the climax. You need, and I'm talking to environmentalists and especially specifically activists, you need to do your research. You need to go back to the research, to the books. You need to be so well informed about the topic before you come outside here telling us about what we need to do. Stop telling us to plant trees. Do your research. Tell us how are trees going to help in this fight. First tell us what climate change is and why we should be triggered, why we should be worried. Then tell us how trees are going to save us from climate change. I think environmentalists, I agree, we are on the same course, but I think most of us are not well informed on the issue, and we prefer to be outside here telling people what to do. That is my issue with activists. That is my only issue. We are not informed. There's a lot of misinformation, a lot of misunderstanding, and sometimes we are doing it from a good point. I know where they're coming from. But do you also realize that some of us became activists from fear? The fear that, what I think about my degree was mainly fear. Most of the topics I did and most of the lecturers, what they did in school was instill fear in me. They made me feel like the world was coming to an end, and now that makes me want to save the world because it is coming to an end. But then I came outside here And I started getting disruptions and triggers and wanting to understand what is happening. And then I realized, oh, probably there is much more to this. I am still talking about climate change. But for me, I think what we need to do is to adapt to the change that is happening. Change is inevitable. You either adapt or you die. It's the same thing that happens, the so-called selection. Those that adapted survived. Those that did not adapt died when we were, evolving. So I think it's the same thing that that is the message that we need to be telling people outside here as activists. Let us adapt. Stop telling us to continue living our life and thinking that we are going to reverse this thing. I think where we are right now, we have how many years before we hit the point at which we cannot reverse climate change? It is obvious we are not going to hit that target. It is obvious. A small country like Kenya, we do not have the resources, we do not have the capacity, we do not have the ability to reverse climate change. Including Africa as a continent, we cannot reverse climate change because the amount of carbon dioxide that we produce and emit to the environment, to the climate, to the atmosphere is very small. Countries like China, America, Japan, Russia, those countries that are developing, are they slowing down their activities? Are they fighting the fight that we are fighting? So if the biggest contributors don't act, the change that we can make is almost insignificant. So I think as Africans, as Kenyans, what we need to be doing right now is assuming that we cannot hit that point, that goal, and let's assume that we cannot be able to reverse climate change. So then the question we need to be asking ourselves as Africans is, how are we going to get adapted? How are we prepared to adapt, or how well are we adapting to the change? Because we're either going to adapt or we're going to die. I think that's the way forward. Adapt to what is happening. If you're doing traditional agriculture is not working in your farm, then let that go. Try something else. If you've been doing irrigation directly from the river and the river is drying up, think about something else that is going to happen. We Africans have almost no power to do anything to fight this fight. It's a complex one. It's political. It's a big fight that Africans can almost do nothing about it. But Africans are the most hit because we are poor. We have no systems to run ourselves and govern ourselves. We are getting there. I appreciate that. I recognize that. And I recommend for that. But we are not yet there. So I think Africans, we are the most hit, and we are the people who can do almost nothing about it. So I think what we should be doing is preparing to adapt, or what activists should be telling us is how to adapt to this thing that is coming, this thing that is here with us, climate change. So that is my issue with activists. They have not done their due diligence to understand exactly where the problem is, so that they can act, they can talk from a point of knowledge. Some of us are talking from the point of fear. Some of us are talking from the point of misunderstanding, misinformation. I think the issue is bigger than we think. The issue is bigger than planting trees. Planting trees is going to help, but it's not going to solve the problem. So I think we need to be more educated as activists, specifically environmental activists, because as we are a voice and people are going to follow what we do. So if we mislead the people, if we are used by the system to influence people in the wrong direction, then I think we are going to be responsible. We need to be held responsible for misinformation and such. And the other day I was going through Twitter, and I believe every one of us knows about this guy called Elon Musk. I know I've seen people talking about is he human or he's an alien. And you know what he does? And this guy is for adapting to climate change, and he's for renewable energy, and he has built his electric car, the first electric car that we have seen in this lifetime. And it could be a strategy to sell his business. Who knows? Maybe he's supporting climate fight because he has a product that he wants to market. I don't know whether it is true or not true. I don't know, but he's doing something about it. He has explained, and if you follow him and listen to him, you understand where he is coming from. He is not ignorant or arrogant of what is happening. He is not ignorant or arrogant of the misinformation or the fear or the misunderstanding that could be there. But he speaks out his point, but speaks from data. And the other day I was going through Twitter, and I follow him, and I really like his way of thinking, and I like how he does his things. And he was talking about, look at this tweet that he did the other day, sometimes in June, talking about, realized what I have common with environmentalists, but I also realized why they are so annoyingly wrong. They are conservationists of what is, whereas they should be conservationists of our potential over time. Well, our cosmic endowment. You know, what he does according to his business. But this point is so true. Most of us are conservationists of what is, whereas we should be conservationists of our potential over time. We may not be in our cosmic endowment. We may not be able to explore that as Africa, as Kenya. But then, can we start thinking of our potential? Can our activism come from how to adapt to climate change? Just don't tell people to plant trees. Tell them something that is practical, that is going to benefit them. You need to understand that people are in poverty. They are trying to educate their children. They are trying to look for food to put on the table for their children. Now, when you tell them to plant a tree, really, how about if you tell them to plant a mango tree? Not just a tree, a mango tree. How about if you tell them how to plant a tree? Because, by the way, I am so tired of so many events. Everybody is planting trees every now and then. But then do you ever go back and look at how those trees are doing? The other day, the research, I was going through some research, and it says a tree, you need to take care of a tree for 3 years before it can become self-sustaining. The trees that you planted last year in December, have you gone back to water them and weed them? Do you know you need to take care of those trees for 3 years before they become self-sufficient? The other day it was World Environmental Day. Every activist, myself included, posted on social media, one world, one world was the theme. We need to take care of our world because we only have one world. It's alright. We did plant a lot of trees in schools, in hospitals, everywhere. Millions of money was spent to plant trees on that specific day. My question is, it is just about 2 weeks since the day we did that. It was on 5th of June. Actually, the national celebration was 6th of June at the Dan Kimathi, and we did plant trees. So my question is, it has been 2 weeks since then. I am in Nyeri. The Dan Kimathi is just right here. So I know it has not rained in Nyeri in the last 2 weeks. So then my question is, has anybody, as activists, the people who are here outside here, plant trees, let's plant trees, let's go to Dan Kimathi, plant trees, have we gone back to see if those trees are surviving? Has anybody checked out the tree they planted during the World Environmental Day? Have they checked if it is surviving? But of course we did plant trees, we did put pictures and posted pictures of ourselves planting trees, and the day came to an end. Boom, we went back to business as normal. That is my issue with activism, environmental activists. I think we need to do more work than we are doing. let's do our homework. I'm super triggered, and I hope you are. And if you are, do something.